That was so scary.
What was so scary? Cheers.
Cheers.
What?
You pushed power and I didn't know we were going. So
you said ready.
I said, are you ready?
Yes. You don't have to ask me twice.
Well, apparently not. I barely had to ask you once. Good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Hello.
Welcome
Good
to,
morning.
what is today? The 28th
July
of
28th.
July. It's a Tuesday. Yeah. We both said the same thing, but we got around.
Dates and times and numbers and things.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, that's what we do. We have all sorts of dates going on in our heads. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the We're Better When We Come Together
Morning show.
with Dr. Teri Murphy.
And Chris Murphy.
That's the two of us, and we're so excited that we've got you here as well. Welcome to the Tuesday edition. Today we're going to be talking about authenticity and integrity. It sounds very official, but I don't want it to be that official. I just want it to be a good, natural conversation.
Like we're
that's
super
all right.
breezy.
Yeah,
we're just breezy.
We're breezy. We're easy. We're easy breezy.
We're chilling out. We're just like
Yeah.
coffee with friends.
We're like
friends.
the CoverGirl campaign. We're easy breezy. Beautiful. CoverGirl. Good morning.
Welcome.
Hey, what's happening?
Welcome.
Caitlin, thank you so much for the mention on your newsletter. What a kind gift that you gave us. I really
sign up
appreciate
for
that.
Caitlin Curtis's newsletter. You can go to her website and just sign up, or on Instagram at Caitlin Curtis. There's a link. Just scroll right down in her link tree, and you can find the link to sign up for a newsletter there.
Heck
really
yeah.
beautiful words, soul nurturing.
Yeah.
So, very good. Go
It's
do
a good
it.
example of a newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like good information, good encouragement. Yay.
It did. It really did. Very, very grateful for you in that
Yes,
way.
absolutely. It was so
It's
kind.
like one of those things where, like, it's one thing, like, when people who are also, like, in the mental health community are supporting you, which I'm so grateful for, too. But it's like this other thing when you have friends that are supportive that aren't even necessarily in the same field. You know what I mean? Like, where
Yeah,
it crosses across different fields. That's, like, it's just so meaningful.
Absolutely.
So thank you. And welcome. So those of you who are new here, who are we? Who are we? What do we do?
That's a good question to answer.
This is a great question. So
Yeah.
we're the Murphys. We're married. We've been married for 20 years. We're both therapists and really super passionate about making mental health accessible to everyone, everywhere, to the best of our ability. We are learning and growing alongside you. So this is a conversation. This is coffee that we have together where we just chat and we talk and we connect with you, and also just share different things specifically around building healthy relationships, soul care, and social justice. So those are the three. If we could make the first one an S, then we would just have S's all the way through, and that would be so fun.
We should figure out a word that would work.
Then I would feel like a true preacher's kid, and that would be a lot of fun.
You know, I came up with, what is that called?
Acronym? No.
Not an acronym. It's like
What is it? It's not agnostic.
Acrostic?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Is that what it is?
It's an acrostic, not agnostic, which is belief system.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like a puzzle that you would do on a Sunday morning in a newspaper.
Yep.
I did the acrostic this morning. It was really good.
It sounds to me like something religious leaders would be afraid that you would be.
Oh, yeah.
She's acrostic.
Oh,
We're gonna have
poor
to
thing.
burn her, or, something like a witch.
You went all the way to the burning portion of
By the way, I guarantee you,
judgment.
if I lived in Salem back in the day, I 100% would have been drowned and burnt.
Oh, you'd have been burnt up.
I'm sure.
Here's what, okay, so I watched an episode of, what was it, Criminal Minds the other day, and they had basically
I made him.
like a modern day version of like a witch thing. And here's
yeah.
here's what I don't get about the witch trials. If you drown them and they die, they were innocent.
No witch.
No witch. But if you drown them and they don't die,
Definitely a witch.
they're a witch, so now you have to kill them.
Burn them.
So either way, you're getting rid of those pesky little people that you don't want hanging out in your village.
Not people, women.
I was trying to...
This is a way to wipe out women
Yeah.
too, and it was hysteria and that sort of thing. Like it was really not great. It wasn't good things.
I will tell you something good that did come out of some TV watching recently.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the witch trials, and I was like,
No. You know me better than that. So we were watching, the two shows that we watch mainly right now are Criminal Minds and Somebody Feed Phil.
That's true.
Which is where Phil Rosenstein goes around the world and tries different food and different cultures. And
he's very sweet and funny.
It's a very sweet and very relaxing show to watch. So he is in, was it Ireland or London?
Ireland.
Ireland or England. And he has mashed potatoes. Uh-oh. We've lost Teri. Dr. Teri is overboard. You all right?
Mm-hmm. I just did coffee in the lung pipe instead of the drinking the coffee pipe.
I'm so sorry. You all right? I'm trying to help, and I'm making it worse.
He's drowning me. I'm not a witch. I
All right,
promise.
so we were watching Somebody Feed Phil. I'm so sorry about your throat. And they were eating mashed potatoes with cabbage in it. That, you know, those quirky folks on the British Isles, they always come up with fun names for things. And they called mashed potatoes with cabbage Bubbles and Squeak.
Bubble and Squeak.
And so we thought that's a silly name. And what better thing to do with a silly name to go ahead and reserve those names for when we become grandparents. We're going to become not grandma and granddad. We will become Bubbles and Squeak. So I thought that would be a nice little thing to embarrass our grandchildren and our children and most of the people that hear them call us that by going as Bubbles and Squeak for the rest of our lives.
I think we should do it.
I'm excited about it.
I'm a fan.
I mean, I've
Here's
never
what I'm
really
afraid
thought of
of.
myself as a squeak, but I will take on that moniker if I get to be silly about it.
But knowing that it's like British, here's my fear.
Oh.
Is it's probably in some way racist or degrading. So we're gonna offer that tentatively and then do some more research and then we'll circle back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's like a whole British slang language that like going up the stairs is like I'm going to play with my hairs or something like that. Like it's like something that rhymes with it, and so then dance
like
with,
lorries and taking a lift and living in a flat, like they just mean different.
Yeah.
Mean
Like
the same thing, different words.
like if I'm drinking black coffee, maybe then I do something else with the word coffee and make it rhyme. I don't know what rhymes with coffee. It was a horrible
What
example.
are you talking about?
Anyway, Bubbles and Squeak. That's going to be our grandparent name. I'm bailing on trying to come up with a good, clever way to describe
Are
it.
you saying the British rhyme things on purpose?
Yes.
Bubble and Squeak doesn't rhyme.
That's what I'm saying. But they do a lot of nonsensical words meaning other things. And so I think
like bangers and mash.
Bangers
that
and
was
mash?
a secondary, but there's no way that's not going to get us put in jail at
that
some
just
point as
eventually sounds
grandparents.
gross if you're describing people as both bangers
like
and
that
or
one.
mash.
Yeah.
But I think Bubbles because the mashed potatoes kind of have lumps and
bubbles.
stuff. Which one
It's
last
the
night?
sounds it makes.
Last night we
Bubbles
were
and
trying to get used to those names, and I accidentally called her not Bubbles but Lumps. I said, "Hey, Lumpy," and that didn't work because in my mind I
Do you
thought
want to be
they're
called
calling
lumps?
no.
Do you want to be called lumpy?
No, it was a horrible mistake that I regret fully. But anyway, that's going to be our grandparents' name. So if you want to go deep dive, 6 months from now, call us Bubbles and Squeak when we've forgotten about this, and we'll be confused until you remind us, and then we'll think you're the coolest person ever.
Well, it's
So-
either Bubbles and Squeak or my grandma name's going to be Solid Gold, and I've already talked to my children about this. I think that would be so much fun. And yours was like a long, very like you should wear a monocle.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I don't
It
recall
was like
it.
Ebenezer Downington the Third as your grandpa name.
Longbottom is probably some last name. It's like just put the longest first, middle, and last name in there, and then force my relatives to call me
By the
that.
way, our children are 14 and 12. What are we doing with our lives? But it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun to talk about ridiculousness. We can't do a lot of things right now, but we can bring in the funny. We can entertain ourselves.
Oh, that's what it is. It's entertaining ourselves. Who knows if it's funny, but we can entertain ourselves.
It makes
That's
me
what we'll
laugh.
certainly
I'm going to
do.
think of Bubbles and Squeak when I'm in a session
Yeah.
and laugh a little bit later. And
I
that's
like
gonna be
that. Let's
weird.
do it. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, so let's do a quick check-in. How are you doing? How are you? If you've been here with us before, you know what we're doing right now. If you haven't, let me do a brief description of what we are doing. Every morning we check in with each other as a community, and how we do that is we just put in the comments section how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, and any number in between. And if numbers can't contain you, feel free to throw in an emoji describing how you're feeling. We started that out by doing a wave or a surfer to say that I've been all over the map. But any emoji or phrase or number will do. So how are you feeling?
Maybe
Please.
I'll toss in a witch emoji right now.
Are you trying to get burned at the stake?
Yeah.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you.
I was imagining it.
Let's not do that. So how are you all feeling? Let's put it in the numbers.
How about you?
Well, one second. I just wanted to say that on Instagram we're seeing
Lots
some
of
interaction. On Facebook we're not seeing any. So if you put in that, I hope that we can see it. Maybe there just hasn't been any so far this morning. But feel free to put in 1 through 10 in the comments. For me, I'm feeling good. I would say I'm at a 6 today. Woke up a little tired, but I'm ready to get after the day. So
I'm right at 5, so I'm right at my neutral. Not super high, not super low.
Yeah.
Just perfectly neutral.
Just like, would that be like you just feeling kind of content and zen, or is there not a lot of up or down associated with it because it's right there in the middle?
It's literally just neutral.
No, okay.
I wouldn't say zen. I haven't meditated yet this morning or finished my journaling, my morning pages. So I think maybe when I do more of that, maybe something could possibly shift, but I feel pretty good at 5. I mean, that really is neutral. It's not up or down for me. Like, that would be perfectly middling.
Well, it seems like that all the comments that are coming in, we're all kind of at the middle of the road today, which is good. Maybe that's just what Tuesday brings all of us, is 6s and 4s and 5s and 6 and 5.
The gift is just, I think, naming it and noticing it, and then as things move and stuff, like, you can just see what it's like. Robin, I hope you had a good appointment yesterday.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah, I hope that went well.
Oh, your mama.
Hey,
Hi,
she's at a 7, rock and roll. Awesome. Thank you.
I bet your baseline is 7, Mama. I bet that's your mama's baseline. She's happy.
Like mother, like son.
Yes, I think
Very
so
cool.
too.
What was I going to say? Oh, let me tell you this quick story, and then I'll move on.
Miss you too.
Oh, we miss you as well. Yesterday, I started out just on fire. I mean, I think this time yesterday,
It was like, ooh, oh, it's hot. Ooh,
and I was so excited to get so much done. And as it often does, my momentum gets all like ready to
your
go.
inertia had started,
Yes,
and once the train leaves the station, it's just like I'm picturing Eminem, like, in the moment, you know.
Gotta lose yourself. Yes, that's the way it felt. I felt so motivated and so energized. And then I interacted with technology, and that's where all my momentum stopped.
You actually, you did, but it did not act back towards you. You need to describe the dinosaur that is your laptop. That he needed a new laptop before he started his master's program. It is horrifying how old and slow this. Well, I don't want to steal your technological thunder. Why don't you speak to
Speaking of thunder, it's a behemoth. It's like this big, hulking thing. No, it's actually, it's just an old computer. And so sometimes trying to use it, I run into the wall of frustration.
How long does it take you to boot it up? Just to turn it on in the morning?
Sometimes mere seconds, other times a good 15 minutes
to an hour. It has taken an hour.
Will go by and it will just still be doing its thing. And so,
you know that feeling when technology works, it helps and it is like efficient and increases our productivity sometimes. You can get things done. But when technology is supposed to do something, when you have like either a deadline, you need to get something done, or you have an idea that you need to like dig into and you're wanting to work on it, that sort of thing, and then it doesn't work, that's like, I feel it like heat, like flames in my chest. I get so angry about that.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me yesterday. I got so discombobulated and angry and confused and frustrated with the process that I had to put it away. I had to walk away. We had to walk for
Where'd your number go?
About an hour. And it went from like an 8 to like 3, 2, 3. And it was because of that. And so this thing kept resonating in my mind yesterday that I wanted to bring to you. Regardless of what number that you're at, other things can come in and they will challenge that number. Some things for the good, some things for the bad. I heard this quote the other day, and it had been a while since I had heard it, but I think that it was attributed to Abraham Lincoln, where he said something to the effect, and maybe this isn't Abraham Lincoln, but it's something, it's a pretty famous saying that's like, if you give me 8 hours to cut down a tree, I will take 6 of those hours to sharpen the blade of my axe, so then I can make quick work of that tree. And so the moral of that story is make sure
Sounds like
that
a Stephen Covey quote.
It does sound like something that's very like productivity minded. But what it's saying is like, use the tools that you use, make sure that they are up to par so that they can actually aid and assist you instead of causing more issues. And so what I realized yesterday dealing with my old dinosaur of a computer is that it's like a very dull axe. And so now when I'm trying to chop down trees of productivity and getting work done, it continues to be an issue that takes a lot more effort and drags me down than actually allowing me to move to the next level. So I'm not a fan of just buying the very newest thing out there because it's new. I think that there could be a little bit of there's frustration in that, because as soon as you get something new, something else is going to come out, and then you don't have the newest thing anymore, so that causes frustration. I really enjoy doing that, but I've had to, over the years, talk to myself and say that, like, you don't need these things. Like the 1 or 2 new items that comes out with the new iPhone will be great, but it's only 1 or 2 items. Your iPhone that you have right now is pretty good, which is why now I have a 9-year-old computer when I probably should have upgraded about 4 years ago. So, all that to say is I got really frustrated when it did not work for me.
I think this is the perfect tie-in, though, to what we're talking about,
Yeah.
which is how do you care for yourself in this place of authenticity and integrity to you? So we talked a bit about authenticity and integrity yesterday, if you want to catch the definitions and that sort of thing. But the working sort of statement that we can use around integrity, we're really looking at wholeness, like the integrity of a ship. You want the ship to have full integrity before it goes into the water, because if it doesn't, water's going to get in and your ship's going to sink. Same thing for a plane. That's what's going to happen in the same sort of way too. So one of my favorite quotes is Keshavan Nair says that courage is the foundation of integrity. Courage. What's courage? Right? What is courage? Oh,
yeah, I like that.
So courage is that thing that we have to tap into when we feel afraid. We feel really scared. And I used to think that courage was like we feel fear and we just blast through it anyway. And now one of the things that I'm beginning to realize in working with clients, my clients are teaching me this a lot. And then we're seeing it a bit in our own lives. And I see my kids all the time in this. But courage is really more about authenticity. It's really more about our integrity. It's really more about saying, I'm scared. And then before just leaping into action, right? We feel the emotion. Then stop for a second. Who are you? What do you want in this world? What is congruent with your belief systems and what really matters to you? And then act according to that. That's integrity. It takes a lot of courage to stay in your wholeness, to not minimize yourself, which then would not be integrity because it's not all of you.
Yeah.
Or to hide back certain things, or to act in some certain way to please others, which is really what I do. That's my trauma response go-to, is more people pleasing. Which if I've departed my own belief system to make somebody else happy, I'm out of my own integrity, right? And so it takes a lot of courage to hang in there and to be really honest with yourself first about what's happening, which Chris was able to do in naming his anger and being able to be super honest about what he was feeling. Then we knew what we needed to do to take care of him, which was put our shoes on, leave the technology, and go on a walk. And I'd love to talk about what we did on that walk, if it's okay with you, but I want to get consent.
Yeah, that'd be great. But this is the thing, that if I had not had my other to be there for me, I would have probably tanked quickly and for the rest of the day. But luckily I had somebody there supporting me that I was able to work through those issues, and I needed to borrow her limbic system for a while. I needed to borrow her emotions for a while because I didn't feel good. I was really angry, and I was then angry about being angry. I was like, I started off this day in such a good mood, and I was excited about the day, and now look at this. This is ridiculous.
It's like the computer was like a blocked goal.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
tech was in between you and the ultimate place you wanted to be in your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel that if not for you yesterday, that I would have continued to spin out of control.
I love you.
But because I had you and I borrowed your emotions there for a while, that I was able to recover in a better way than I would have. And
Can we talk specifically
Yeah,
about what
absolutely.
we did?
Feel
Is
free.
that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was witnessing he was getting more and more frustrated, and we were both sitting at the table doing work, and we had a conversation. I could feel it. Like, do you ever have that where you can like feel inside another person? It's almost like that thermometer thing, and like the base of the thermometer is like in his belly, and it goes like this. And I was watching the pressure and the temperature rise. And for you, it seems like as your temperature rises in anger and frustration, your number 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 goes down in response to that pressure building.
My anger goes up, my number or my emotions, they fall. And then the more angry I get, I can't contain it in my body anymore, and I start making sounds with it. Just yeah.
Yes. So that used to trigger me because I thought he was upset with me. And some of the work that we've done is it doesn't really feel that way anymore. So I didn't have any sort of alarm bells going off inside myself.
You were so cool. You're like cool as a cucumber, man.
I mean, it really didn't upset me. If I had been triggered, I think it would have been really different. But what we did is, I just asked, do you want to talk about it? I'd love to know what's going on. I know I can't fix anything. Like, there's nothing there to really do that. So he was able to just name. And that's really the first thing. It took a minute. I don't know what your process was like inside, but he was able to say, I'm really angry. And for Chris, and he's an Enneagram 9, to name anger is really difficult, right? Like, it's a hard emotion to admit to yourself even that you feel.
It's a difficult thing to talk about.
Because it kind of goes against like your presentation to the world.
I had mentioned this just a few minutes earlier on the show about how when I have an issue that requires more patience or I get angry or something like that, it goes against my natural inclination to be just like, good time, Chris. Like, keep smiling, Chris. Everything's going to be okay, Chris. It goes against that. And then I get angry at the fact that I'm now distanced from that place of comfort that is like literally being happy is my happy place. And so distancing myself from that actually then makes me more angry because then I realize the work that has to be done in order to get back to that point of comfort for me. And so a lot of things start happening for me when the anger starts to grow, is that I get frustrated on top of the thing that made me angry, on the fact that now I'm distanced from what I feel like brings me peace, which is kind of one of the hallmarks of being a 9 on the Enneagram, is that I will do
inner peace.
I will do pretty much anything that I can do in order to maintain that sense of inner peace. So
That's
continue.
good.
Yeah.
So then it's automatically part of, I'm wondering, your numbers dropping is because your inner peace was disrupted when your tech isn't working, and that's part of the anger.
Absolutely.
So embrace who you are,
Yay,
saying,
okay, good.
what if you're struggling to be your authentic self with your significant other due to a trauma response? So I'm a trauma survivor from childhood. I have childhood trauma, developmental trauma, and was not securely attached. Like, that was not, I was insecurely attached when we got into a relationship together. I would say you were more securely attached, even though when you do get triggered, you lean more into avoidance.
Sure.
Which is why he withdraws, right? But securely attached. So secure, and I was more insecure before we did years of our work. So what it looks like for me still, even though we've done a lot of healing work, I've done like a decade of therapy individually, we've done therapy together as a couple, is that if it was reversed and I'm in my feels, it's a little bit more difficult for me sometimes to feel safe in the world. Like, I have to go through an extra step. My default was not safety when I grew up. The world did not feel safe, and I didn't feel safe in it, which is a hallmark of childhood and developmental trauma. And so even though Chris has always felt safe to me, and we've known each other since we were 3 years old, So I've always known him. He's been a friend for a long time, but still, there's this thing that happens in my brain sometimes where I still don't feel safe to be honest about my inner experience, to have integrity, which I think is why I'm so compassionate towards others, my clients and myself, and why I'm so passionate about integrity as a healing path is first inside myself. The shame that gets triggered when I'm having like a trigger or something going on inside is almost immediate. You know, it just happens. I get flooded a lot of times with that place. And then what I have to do is it's like a choice on a seesaw. And this is because of the work that I've done, that I get to have this choice, is to be honest with myself first, that I'm having a reaction to something and that it's okay. It is safe to be upset. It is safe to have a need. It is safe to have whatever emotional experience I'm having. So first I have to do it inside myself, and then I can share it with another person. So it really depends on the kind of trauma you have. Like for me, my trauma wasn't directly with Chris, but no matter how safe he is, because that was like the blueprint as a child, there's sometimes still some of that happens in my nervous system.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll even say to him, I can feel the tears here and my throat will not want them to come out, because crying was one way that I would be physically harmed, you know, when I was little. So crying is really difficult for me. And you know, I talk about this, I cry almost every day, but there's a difference in like yesterday when I cried about the national parks versus like crying about my own inner experience, right? That still feels a bit risky to me. So this is what happens is I practice daily, for the most part, daily being honest with myself about where I am. Like this number ranking system, we actually do this in our real life, not just with clients and not just when we're here with you, but how am I doing? What do I need? You know, what's happening? Can I practice expressing? And kind of like flexing that muscle a little, and the safer it feels when I have like a different sort of neural pathway that says it is safe and it is okay to share my inner experience with a safe other. And then when he can show up and just be there for me in a non-judgmental, accepting way, we're good. Now, if he wasn't safe to do that, I wouldn't do it. It wouldn't really be a thing that even my nervous system would allow me to do. Only with resonance, limbic resonance. So that primal part of your brain, your limbic system, the reptile part of your brain, and the amygdala in particular, your limbic system that controls all emotion, more fight or flight, primitive sort of places, has to feel safe in his presence. It isn't me in my prefrontal cortex talking myself into safety. I have to feel it in a different part of my brain. So my body tells me if he's safe or not at any given moment. And I'll be honest with you, still, there are times that I don't feel safe. And it has sometimes to do with his dysregulation. Sometimes I'm triggered by something from the past. But the difference is now I can even say, like, I'm feeling triggered, and we both know what to do in that moment. And we can help each other with that place. And I think maybe we should talk even more about what that really looks like.
Absolutely.
About trauma and authenticity, trauma and integrity. Integrity and authenticity are more difficult if you've had trauma in your past, because the whole message in trauma is it's not okay to be you, and it's not safe to be your real self in the world.
So what we do in those moments is that we hold ourselves back, because the internal message that we've heard over years is it's not safe.
Yep.
So I'm going to go protect myself by either distancing myself or not dealing with it. Like, I'm not going to check in and see where I'm at on that number system. The number system is just like a barometer or a thermometer.
Yeah.
It's a tool to check in and to gauge where we're at. So then we can use that knowledge to make a decision. It's like if I looked on my app that shows me what the temperature and the weather is supposed to be today, and I see it's going to be 30 degrees Fahrenheit and it's going to be raining. So I would think I need to go outside and put a coat on, wear some boots, whatever that may be. If I see that it's going to be 100 degrees Fahrenheit and it's going to be no cloud in the sky, I need to put on some shorts, a short sleeve shirt, maybe a hat to shield my face. It's we take the thing that we learn from the thermometer or the number system and we use it to then inform how we can move throughout the world to then be more authentic and to have integrity when it comes to just showing up as who we are in those moments, so then we could move forward in a more hopeful, healthy way.
Thank you for sharing too about some of your therapy experience and asking the question. I think it takes courage to even ask about trauma, because it's so stigmatized in our culture still. Like, I know that we've made leaps and bounds ahead, but like acknowledging that we have trauma, acknowledging that there's work to do, you know, it's very vulnerable. It exposes us in a lot of ways. You know, I've lost a lot of friendships along the way because of my insecure attachment strategy, because of my need to be private and to get to know people for a long time before I can reveal more about myself. Like, it is a way, like, I have very strong boundaries. The things that we chat about here and that we talk about here, we both get consent to do that. And I'm not sharing a lot here about what I'm currently working through necessarily real time, unless that feels safe enough to do it. And I've just realized over time that this is a way I can keep myself safe. Because if I overshare, then what happens is my trauma triggers will kick in and I'll feel the need to run away.
Yeah.
And it is
Anybody
so
else like
scary
that?
to
I want
see
to
where
run
it's
away
going.
when that trauma rises. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
No, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just agreeing with you. I'm similar. We have different things that have affected us in our lives. So I'm not going to pretend that we are equal in the types of trauma or the things that have affected us. But the way that they manifest themselves in our lives is they both have, like, something alerts us and we have a response to it. And then we have to deal with however we respond.
Yeah.
And so, Brad, I completely agree with you over on Facebook, for those on Instagram.
Thank you for sharing that, Brad.
Yeah, it's that sometimes I don't
You
feel
relate
like that.
hard to that, don't
Yeah,
you? Yeah.
that anger's not okay for me to express, so I push it down. And that's been a message that I've had most of my life. And so I push that down to try to be good, to be nice, to be happy, to bring a smile on people's faces versus dealing with my own stuff that may put them in an uncomfortable position. So I continue to deny that in order to try to protect or to keep the peace. And then I have to deal with the fallout, because me pressing it down here doesn't mean that it goes away. It just means that I've pushed it down to deal with at another time.
It just goes like into your hip bone or something like that.
So, it's just somewhere in my body. And so over time, days, months, years of pressing all this stuff down, it eventually has a response. And whether that's a response of like a gray hair or exploding in rage with my anger because I now can't hold it in anymore, there are consequences to that. So hopefully this show is dealing with relationships, sure. We're dealing with social justice, absolutely. But the self-care part of owning where we are in life so that then we can be more authentic and have more integrity, so that we are free from those things that we keep in our minds. And believe me, I am world class at maybe having a fight with her or being aggravated at technology or something like that, and then walking out the door and seeing a neighbor and the look on my face is like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" Like I have perfected that fake kindness thing because I don't want to put that on someone else. So. Thank you for sharing. That means a lot.
And you're welcome to share those things here. You can bring your integrity, like the wholeness of who you are, into this space, because it always, to me, feels like an honor. And we really do care about you. You matter to us. Your anger, your grief, your sadness, your trauma, your resilience, all of these things. I get so mad when people tell me how strong I am. I'm like, I did not want to be strong. I wish I was like a tender, like bowl of oatmeal. I wish I was just like, had none of this stuff. Like, I am also grateful for my resilience, but I really do wish I didn't have to have it at the same time. I know that one of the reasons that I'm a therapist is because of my healing process and wanting to offer a path out of the darkness to other people, because that is what it feels like to me. When I do it, it's like dropping down into a hole. And the thing that I say to Chris is, I'm going to live with the wolves. a tender bowl of oatmeal. I need to put that on another coffee mug. So it literally is, for years, the way that I know that it's actually really trauma is it feels like, I used to have chronic nightmares when I was a kid, and wolves were coming to eat me all the time. And I feel super connected to wolves, both like symbolically as the spirit of the wolf and what they stand for. They very rarely attack human beings unless they're threatened, but they can be vicious, you know, at the same time if you attack their pack or their kids and that sort of thing. So I have this like loving relationship to them, and they terrify me because of my nightmares as a kid. But that's who I say I'm gonna run to live with. So I'm like, when it gets too much, when I get triggered and I feel like I can't breathe and it's really my childhood trauma stuff showing up in the present, it is so terrifying to me. People stop feeling safe. I don't feel so safe in my body. And so I'll say to Chris, I'm running into the woods to live with the wolves. Like, they're the only ones who get it.
Yeah.
And they don't talk, and they won't need me for anything. We will just nap and eat, which is like about all I'm capable of. And maybe a little bit of hiking. Doesn't that sound like how I do self-care?
That is your daily routine right
Maybe
there.
my new book will be called The Way of the Wolf, and we'll just go all in on that.
I like that.
So the thing that I want to offer to you, and I have a PhD in this. I have a master's degree in therapy. I've done a decade of individual and couple therapy. I still get triggered to the point that I want to say F you to society and culture, and I'm going to go live in the woods by myself. So that's okay. It is not an indicator that you're not healed, that you haven't done your work, if you still get triggered. Trauma is that difficult. There are tendrils that go through every cell of your body that are so thin, they're like little filaments that stay inside of you. No matter how safe Chris can be, no matter how much work I've done and how much intellectual knowledge I have, there are still parts of my nervous system that still get triggered sometimes. And it feels impossible in those moments. And I can tell myself, like, you haven't healed at all. What do you think you're doing trying to help other people when you still have so much work to do? So if you're a therapist and you've got trauma, and I know the research says 80% of therapists, mental health workers, counselors, social workers are wounded healers. I'm telling you, like, we're coming from a place where we get it.
Yeah.
Where we know what it's like. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing. So I'm so glad that you asked that question. Mandy asked a question really quick about if you've just found out that you've got PTSD, what are some good books to read? I think that starting from a place of somatic, our body understanding is key. So Waking the Tiger by Peter Levine and The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk are the two top reads that I would say to go for. But here's the thing. Bessel van der Kolk's book was so difficult for me to read when I was fresh in my trauma recovery that I would hide it under the sofa. Do you remember this? I could only read bits at the time and put it under the sofa and then let it sort of process. I think of it kind of like Plinko. If you ever watched, what's the name of that show?
The Price is Right.
The Price is Right. Do you remember Plinko, which was like this game where people would climb up this ladder and you would drop these like round coins and they would kind of go down and filter into different categories? That's how I feel like it is when I'm learning about trauma, is like I'm reading and categorizing that. Ooh, good. Yeah, Ariel Schwartz too. Highly recommend. Get Try Softer by Andy Kolber. That's a great, gentle, easy read, especially if you're a Christian and want to read something from a spiritual perspective. Highly recommend Try Softer by Andy Kolber too. Plus she shares some of her story. And I just think that storytelling in and of itself is healing. I think those are my native roots, as well as, you know, I come from a storytelling family system and community. So I think that's really important. I think that's huge for our healing, which is part of why we do what we do, is to share a bit of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we're mammals, and connection is really the antidote to trauma, right? What happens in trauma? Your dignity is pushed down, and we want to restore the dignity of all human beings, whatever is getting in the way of that, which is why mental health is so key, I think. So we want to invite you to that courage, right?
Woof.
We're having it too. We're going to do the same sort of thing, you know, the courage to learn about our integrity. So you may not know. If we're at the beginning of our trauma recovery or healthy, you know, securely attached journey, you may honestly not know all of who you are, how to sort of bring the parts of yourself back together to a cohesive whole, to really accept everything of you, the light and the dark, the good and the bad, everything in between, right?
So, you are worth this hard work. It's not easy. Yesterday, it took me a while to feel like I was regulated.
We yelled
again.
at clouds. That's
We
what
did.
we did. We
Yeah.
yelled our anger into a cloud.
Yeah. We just went out in nature and spent some time completely embarrassing myself. You were cool with it.
I don't
had
feel
to get over
embarrassed screaming.
the fear
Yeah.
of somebody knowing that I was there. But we did it, and it helped. It was great. But I just wanted to say to you that you are worth doing all the work that may bring you to this show in the mornings or whatever time it is for you around the world.
Or afternoon.
Because this is the stuff. We have one life. This is one of the things that I talk about often. We have one life. Let's make it the best that we can do. Let's go for the best life that we can, which may mean we're going to have to spend some uncomfortable time in the moments dealing with stuff so that we could actually work through it.
Trauma recovery gets way messy before it gets clean on the other side. And even when it's clean, occasionally you open the closet and a bunch of shit falls out. So I'm just going to say, like, that's just true. But if you can just kind of tell yourself, it really is like cleaning out your closet when all the mess is out. That's why a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah.
It is overwhelming, and you can do your work a piece at the time. Let me just offer that to you. You can do a piece and rest, and do a piece and rest.
Do like Teri was talking about with the book. She would read a little bit, and then she would stuff it under a cushion because she didn't want to deal with it anymore. And then she could go and do the Plinko where it would organize itself in her mind, and she could take that information, and then she could come back to it later. But day at a time, you got this, and you're worth it.
Yeah. So just like on any hard trip, your emotional trip, I want to be so nerdy right now. Very quickly, the anterior cingulate in your brain looks like a horseshoe and wraps around your amygdala. So your anterior cingulate is the place that registers pain, and emotional and physical pain are registered exactly the same way in your brain. So think of it like running a literal marathon. What would you do? You'd pack some snacks, and you would hydrate, and you would take some rests, and you would need to train for that. Trauma recovery is the same. It is a marathon and not a sprint. So you need to hydrate, you need to sleep and rest more than you usually would, and you need to eat good snacks.
Pack snack.
Take care of your body. Yeah. Take good care of your body. You are not separate from your physical body too. So we're gonna just keep offering ways to love yourselves holistically to the best of our ability. And as we learn more, we will share more with you. We are on this journey with you.
Heck yeah.
Okay, we are in it with you.
Yeah, I always look at what we do and what I do in therapy is like we're in Lord of the Rings, and we're both like Samwise Gamgee, that we are like walking alongside you, trying to assist you in making it to your destination. So that's our job, is to just be there for you.
We're all going to Mordor, baby.
And if we trip and fall, it's okay. We want to be there to help pick you up and move on, because one day we're going to fall and we're going to need you to help pick us up. And so this, doing it in community, is a beautiful and wonderful thing.
We're all in this together.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. All right, we love you.
Come up with a dance. We'll do a smash mob, but there's just two of us. So we'll just have to bubble and squeak on our own.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for being here.
The comments, being
best.
real is amazing.
You're the best.
I agree. I needed to be here also because I'm feeling my number rise just being here and being in community and talking about it. So thank you for all the words. We love you. You got this. You're worth it. If you know somebody else that may benefit from this too, just pass it on.
Oh, I do have a question, a tech question. Does anyone know how to subtitle videos that are longer than 20 minutes long? I was using Subtitle, and it doesn't work because I want to make sure that this is accessible to our friends that maybe are deaf or hard of hearing, and or just need to be able to read or watch the video without having the sound on.
So specifically on Instagram, how to do that.
If you know of anything, can you send us a DM or a message? Hi, Miss Susan.
Yeah, and we're also posting these now daily over on YouTube. So
YouTube.com/
I think it's just Teri Murphy. Is
it?
I think so.
I don't know.
But we're posting
you can
those
search me on YouTube.
Because if you need a quick, easy link to send to friends or family or to rewatch yourself, we just want to make that available. So we've just started doing it here in the last couple of days. And so
Again, I had done them a long time ago.
yeah, but it's good to offer that service and to just have another avenue for this information to be put out there. So enjoy your day. You
Love
got
you.
this. If you need us, let us know. If not, we'll see you back here in about 23 hours. Have a good day.
Bye, friends.
Bye, everybody.